разработчики не читают требования, аналитики пишут много букв.
And this one is called Why Developers Don't Read the Requirements and Analysts Write Many Letters. Now let me introduce you to our panel who will be discussing this Tatiana Markin, independent expert. Could you wave your hand, please? Okay, thank you.
Поприветствуем, да.
Okay, let's welcome her. Catherine Gert, Positive Technologies.
Петр Ковчунов, тоже Positive Technologies.
Петр Кончалов, Positive Technologies.
И Никита Мышенков, тоже Positive Technologies.
And Nikita Mishenkov, Positive Technologies.
Так, всем привет. Надеюсь, вы не...
Hello, everyone. I hope you're not too tired, because we will be active, so to speak. First, we will get to know each other. My name is Tatiana Markina. I'm independent expert, system analysis, and I teach in the University ITMO. Hi, my name is Katerina Gert. I'm the head of the group of system analysis. Right now, I work with product development, and many years before that, I worked in the other department. My name is Kovchinov Petr. I'm deputy head of development of Captive of Max Paddle CM.
Всем привет.
Hello,
Меня зовут Никита.
my name is Nikita Mishenkov.
Работаю в Positive Technologies, руководителем.
I work in Positive Technologies as a head of the development team. That's it, probably.
Ребят, вы видели, у нас есть два микрофончика.
So you saw we have two mics.
Играл когда-нибудь 100 к 1, можно поднять ручку.
Did you play 100 to 1? Do you know what the game is about? Okay, those who know, of course, sometimes you saw it on TV. We have something similar. So please come to the mics, because you will play, because we know the answers. Who is ready to play? Guys.
Это не страшно.
Нужно, наверное, немножко объяснить правила, что нам нужно будет сделать.
Наверное, да.
We'll have to explain the rules. There will be two questions. You will be guessing the answers, the most popular answers and less popular, why analysts are writing specifications and requirements and developers don't read them. We have hypotheses, and the developers, analysts, they were voting. So the first person, please, let's try it. We have prizes, ducks, who like ducks. So we have, excuse me, not ducks, fishing rods. Who?
Итак, кто готов начинать?
So who is ready to start?
Первый вопрос.
First one is why analysts write long specifications and requirements. Here on the screen, you will now forget it. So what hypotheses you have, what ideas you have?
Меня слышно.
Okay, you can hear me.
Вроде что-то работает.
It looks like it works.
Соответственно, выполнять свою работу.
Because they're responsible for doing their work. Can you make the mic louder? Oh, we can't hear this one, sorry.
Ответственно выполняет свою работу.
So they're responsibly doing their work.
Хороший ответ, но такого варианта.
So this is a great answer, but we don't have this option here.
Такая, наоборот, надо менять. Я скажу такой вариант, то, что нужно покрыть все.
So they need to cover everything.
Все. Ну, мы не будем придираться к формулировках, несмотря на то, что мы аналитики душнилые.
So we're not going to... Well, phrasing is a bit off, but
Все требования.
because they need to take into account all the requirements that will cover all cases.
С командой.
So then we'll continue with this team, so if you don't mind.
Потому что считают себя умнее разработчиков.
Because they think they're smarter than developers.
Ну, не надо нас так. У нас есть
So don't do it like this to us. So we have a similar option, but a bit different, so it's not. Okay, now you.
Наверное, чтобы заказчик не поменял.
So that the client wouldn't change the requirements. So they fix the requirements so that later they could know if the client changed them. Well, it's similar, so that in the requirements they can find all the answers to all the questions, all the nuances. Let's continue with this team.
Не,
Any other
тогда вы...
variants than you?
На входе большой объем информации, которую они изучили.
At the entrance,
Требований много.
there is a lot of incoming information and outgoing, and they have
Да нет,
more.
мне кажется, в основном
Not
на это
really.
отвечали разработчики, и почему они...
Usually, developers would say why they're upset with
Есть еще
analysts.
варианты?
Do you have any other options? We can't hear this microphone.
Требования тестировщика.
To give all the requirements to testers. So we didn't even think about this,
Там
but
есть ответ, в котором есть
but there's an answer
разработчик.
that has the developer. You can't hear it, and the microphone doesn't work. Sorry.
Ну нет, мы очень любим разработчиков, но там
We
что-то
love
действительно
developers,
аналитики считают про
but
разработчиков.
analysts, they think something about the developers.
Мне тут мигают, что подходит
So
ответ вот этот, потому что
they wink
разработчики
at me that this answer is good because developers are like children, so we love you more than you think.
Почему
Some other variants?
очень много текста, вот прям в лоб,
Why do we write a lot of text? So what?
потому что что-то не умеют.
Because they don't know how to do something. Why they write long?
Потому что это не код, потому что короткий.
Because it's not a code, because a short instruction or an algorithm, it's hard to write. It's only using language.
Просто не умеют излагать требования кратко.
Because they simply don't know how to write it succinctly.
Тоже, видимо, на горьком опыте очень
And
популярный
another thing that's a very popular answer
связанный с ответственностью. Да,
that has to do with the responsibility.
Потому что в большом документе очень легко спрятать неточность.
Because in the big documents, very easy to hide some
Отличный вариант, отличный ответ. Я думаю, что мы уже захотим перейти к
inaccuracies.
следующему
Yeah, it's a
вопросу.
great
Чтобы
one.
Нельзя было обвинить в неполноте требований.
So they wouldn't be blamed for not being complete in the requirements. So second question, why developers don't read requirements?
Давайте любые. Потому что лень. На удивление,
Because they're lazy.
практически популярный ответ.
That's a very
Почему
popular
еще
answer.
разработчики не читают?
Потому что
What else?
понятно.
Because it's clear anyway.
Ну, чуть надо докрутить.
Not exactly. They know better, developers.
Есть такое.
Yes, we have
У
that.
нас, немножко я художник, я так вижу.
I'm an artist. This is how I see it. It's simpler to do it as I
Еще-
made it up.
Что?
What else?
Ну, практически. Это цитата.
It's very difficult,
Понятно, много.
long, and unclear, too many letters.
Ну вот мы разобрали лень, а что еще может не хватать у разработчика?
What else
Нет времени
can
на
be there?
выполнение всего нужно выпускать вчера.
Да.
So,
И
no time and
подходите к микрофону.
Потому что они
please come to the mic.
Потому что
Because they become obsolete, those requirements. No,
Потому что они их не
much simpler. Because they didn't find them.
Нет,
No,
отличный вариант.
У них нет
that's a good
понимания,
one.
собственно, самих процессов и структур.
They don't have the understanding of the processes and what analyst writes.
Цитата, не опыт
And
работы в командах
They
системных
don't have
аналитиков.
experience working with teams of system
Спасибо, я вас
analysts.
запомнила, мы уточним
Thank you very
вопрос.
much. So we'll give you
Оставайтесь до конца.
fishing rods.
И у нас есть много ответов, но давайте же все-таки,
We
наверное,
have many answers.
разобрать, почему и как к этому, что к этому приводит в целом.
So what actually leads to that?
Чтобы в требованиях можно было найти ответы на все
So
вопросы.
that you can find answers to all questions in the requirements, to keep to take into account all nuances when I read about it. So I actually read here a lot of pain and blames
Это вот прям выстраданная.
for not a good work, for bad quality.
Потому что особенно в заказной разработке
Yes, right. Especially when you have a
между командами
client's development and you need to keep
сложилось полное впечатление о том
you need to
процессе,
take into account all nuances. that they have in the
очень,
feasibility study
внимательны к
and the
формулировкам,
technical specification,
которые
analysts are very, very careful about the
максимально подробно
phrasing and wording that they have, and they're trying to be as detailed as possible. Yes, analysts clear, but what about developers? I can actually object that because, first of all, analysts, they write a little letters, as people said in the audience. Well, first of all, they're trying to cover that they're not well versed in the issue. And the more letters they write, it's easier to hide their lack of expertise and then over engineering. Sometimes just enough to have a hammer to hit the nail and not to write something about this like
не потому, что
big
надо это читать, и не потому, что нужно
thing
понимать, что работа в команде.
and the development, the design of a big machine. And you need to understand, the team is not static and the people change in the team. And so let's get to the next argument. Why developers don't read? Because they're lazy and they don't have time. Well, it looks like so there is a client who comes and says, I need to do it. It must have been done yesterday.
Ты не можешь просто
And so you can't just wait when everything will be ready. What about time management and many other things? You can easily distribute your time and find what you need, no? Maybe I'll comment on this one. Yes, right. Project manager can structure the speech. Analysts can write analytics very well. But another question is why it's not happening. Analysts write analytics. Analysts, they write specifications, requirements, but not analytics. Secondly, as you say, no time. No time to deal with that, but you have time to deal with bugs, but you always find time for bugs. Yes, right. If developers, they read the requirements, you would have less bugs because you would do what you're required to do. Again, it's a matter of trust. For some reason, I thought that this role is clear for everybody, but still I meet people who don't know what it is to be a system analyst, and they say that they wrote so many systems, and they never listen to people's opinion. And here we're talking about the role of the system analyst. We're not talking about the position. Actually, a developer can play the role, but this role should be there. Well, first of all, it depends how deep you're going to dive. If analysts, they change more often than developers, so why are you going to trust the person who wrote something, somebody whom you don't know? Who is responsible for analysts disappearing? So then developers disappear as well. And this mysterious situation, yes, right. In any case, you need to leave some textual artifacts of your presence, maybe like cave drawings or something like that. We said that analysts, because they love writing and they obsessed with writing, we probably understand the importance of this process and why there is such a negative perception of this. It's like waste of time. This is what they say, and I often hear it from different developers. It's like, let me just do it, and then you simply describe what I've done. This is what developers say to analysts.
Часто видится документация, которая...
Oftentimes you see documents that they're trying to cover everything.
Нужно ли это все?
But the question is, do you really need all this everything?
Просто не хочется это...
And you just don't want to read this. Maybe it's the next thing.
Прямо иногда читаешь просто как...
But sometimes when you read it,
не знаю, сплошной текст.
It's like text only. It may be a problem, and we'll speak about it a bit later. But I think analysts, they write law specifications and requirements because they don't know who in the team will do it, a particular feature. Maybe it's going to be
А может быть, это
as experienced senior who knows how domain works, but maybe it's going to be a newcomer in the team and who just came and they need a lot of text to be able to figure it out.
фичу в моменте, мы же
And while you're developing a feature in the moment, you also develop the system further.
не 2 и
And
даже
sometimes it takes not a month or two, sometimes even more than 2 years. And sometimes it takes years to develop our products or even decades.
этом продукте,
That's why with this product and with this project, there will be several generations of teams.
те, кто придут
And in order
после нас,
to
знали, почему именно
do it in the
так,
proper way, so that for those who come after us and why we did it this way, that's why we do it and we write it in detail. And I'm sure that everybody participated in excavations, and we always dig in and see who was writing this, why they were writing this. And I'm trying to protect all the analysts and defend all of them because there are some requirements that I can't read it myself. And I think you, Katerina, you wrote me once that, could you read it again? And is it possible to read it at all? There are like low quality work and there are high quality work. We have all this, but for some reason, in development, they have this opinion that if it's an analyst, so they're those ones who are just annoying. So it's kind of, I know better. That's what developers think, and that's why this teamwork doesn't go to work. For some reason, analyst doesn't become a part of the team with the developer. Why is that? Why?
может, это следующий вопрос.
Maybe it's the next question.
Ну, наверное, еще потому аналитикам
Maybe
сложно
because
с разработчиками, что они находятся, условно говоря, по разные стороны баррикад.
analysts and developers, they're on different sides
Делают, двигают
of that,
продукт.
because the one type of people, they're promoting the product for real, but the others are doing it on the paper.
Сложно найти.
And the compromise is hard to find, and only a mature team can come to the conclusion that analyst is not your enemy.
Страшно это звучит, Петя.
It sounds really scary. On the contrary,
Поймешь, что любой,
when you realize that
который пытается
anybody
участвовать в твоем проекте,
who is trying to participate in your project
то это
is your friend,
для радости. Нечем
then it's actually a reason to be happy, nothing to be scared of.
Да, и возникает у нас много букв. Честно говоря, Катя, мне складывается...
And then we have lots of letters. In fact, I have this
меньше букв, чем разработчик. Но не
I have this impression that we had less letters than developers, but so, okay, long, unclear. Situations I had with the structured documents, with features and applications, and this is how it was separated. So you change one requirement and you tell the developer in the point in where they need to read it. So the developer reads the whole document, 50 pages, and they don't even get to the line that you changed, and they decide to do it themselves. So why is that? But in fact, it can be because it's yes, the developer may have the impression it's better to read the whole thing, maybe you change something else.
Любимая фраза у одного
That's my favorite phrase. One of the developers,
требованиям я сделал по уму.
I didn't do it according to the requirements, I did it rationally, but the result wasn't what we expected, but
Ну, по поводу очень сложно. Я сталкивался с
about
документацией,
too complicated.
посредине текста может. А вот
I
смотрите, в пункте каком-нибудь 2.4.3.1
used to find such documents that they say, refer to the paragraph so and so, and then you go to that paragraph, and then it's like
Кстати, про геймификацию.
gamifying
Во-первых, я вам сожалею. Вы столкнулись с некачественным
technical specification. Well, first of all, I am really sorry that you came across a bad quality of analyst, and so the structure of the document should be easy. But about gamification of this, I read a story of an analyst, a woman who
маленьких котиков.
used to hide pictograms of little cats in the analyst, and she asked the developers to count how many
Можете взять на заметку.
cat icons they had
In не идут только ради того, что прочитали.
in the document. Analysts playing little tricks to make developers
С
read.
разработчиками ставили митинг, и аналитик там читал эти.
Analyst and developer, they were setting up a meeting, and the analyst was reading these requirements for the developers out loud. And sometimes, we see it many times, the quotes that we've collected, they've been repeated.
Явно боль, которую
It's not just one developer who said that, and this is the pain that's been around for many years, and for some reason it's still there, and there is no dialogue. For some reason, people are not communicating. So somebody said they're on other side of the barricade, as they say. So why? Because we're a team development team. If you want to look from the point of view of Joel, so analyst is a part of the team, and so why you limited to testers and developers? Well, first of all, because
командах в некоторых умах
in some of the teams, in some of the minds, the developer
жена
is like a wife from the anecdote. So
бывает непосредственно
from a joke. Dear friend, so I thought about it. So that's going to be your job.
дело, но
So I
реализовывать
decided no. So, but the developer will be realizing it anyway.
аналитик подумала, и
So analysts thought about it, and together with the analyst, together with the developer, they solved it. But the developer
мы не принесли изменения.
was living a happy life until they brought this changed specification. So okay, the problem is in the surprise you're gonna get. Okay, in the prize you're gonna get. And so we get to the point that developers are children. So it's not clear where they're gonna get lost in the document.
не знаю, как вот для меня ребенок это нечто
For me,
временами капризное, которое вот
the
примерно
child, this is some whimsical,
это разработчик, который примерно лежит на полу,
crying child who is like throwing tantrums, like lying on the floor and screaming and all that. So maybe this is the problem.
Разработчиков как равных,
When analysts will be perceiving
и отношение к ним поменяется.
developers as peers, not as like children.
Ребенок приходит,
See that what happens when children come to you and say, I am grown up, so you should trust me.
доверие
A mother is
надо
saying,
заслужить.
so you need to earn this trust.
Вести себя как
Well, first of all, you need
то
to
есть читать, а если
behave as
возникают
adults.
вопросы, их
So
задавать
read,
и
and if you
обсуждать,
have
чтобы
questions, you
совместно
have to
приходили к нужному результату.
ask those questions so together we could get
В
to
первой
the
части, во
result.
время игры столько
In the
было,
first
слышали ответы и
part,
приходили
in 1 to 100 game, we saw that both sides of this dispute, they think
не то, что
that
ниже себя, но чуть менее квалифицированные.
they consider others like less qualified.
Формулировки, какая страна у нас
I'm
кто?
lost in your phrasing, like which part is what. So developers think that analysts are like children and they're trying to
Победить, объять необъятное.
win in the game and to
Читать все.
Ну, вообще,
trying to cover everything which is impossible. Well, actually, analysts never make anybody read anything, so we
стараемся облегчить этот процесс.
trying to make everything that's possible
Схемы, диаграммы,
to
груминги, презентации. Осталось только там.
ease the process. We give you everything, and we can even dance around.
Ну и не зря же в инструкциях начали
And
писать,
it's-
что, например, нельзя кота в
that's it.
микроволновку. То есть есть прецеденты, то есть лучшие практики.
There are
Поэтому
precedents.
стараются учиться не
There
на своих ошибках, а на чужих.
practices, and they're trying to learn from their mistakes.
Опыт с жизненных уроков.
And the developers are trying to learn from life as well. So they have great enthusiasm.
По-моему, практически дословно отгадали. Я художник, я так вижу, проще сделать, как сам придумал. Но в целом
Okay,
никто не
so,
запрещает идти на диалог.
but nobody is trying to go to dialogue.
Кейс много-много лет назад, когда я
Many years ago, when I was trying to get to the dialogue with the analyst who just came to our team,
вопрос,
and I came to ask a question, and some hours later they come to me, the product comes to me and said, so analyst wants something from me,
что мне ему ответить?
so what to tell him?
Ну да, какая-то такая двоякая, замкнутый круг. Кажется, что все у нас ходит вокруг того, что просто
Everything goes around
разговаривают почему-то не строят каких-то...
team, and for some reason they don't talk in the teams, and
Чтобы не строят процессов, они не всегда...
they don't build processes, and
Каждому проще сделать
so
как сам.
for everybody
Это говорит о
it's
том,
easier
что
to do,
проще
and
сделать
maybe
самому, чем
it's also
объяснить
easier
как.
to do it yourself than to explain how.
Еще иногда бывает такая ситуация,
And
что
sometimes the situation can be that you understand that there's a
не
problem,
привлечь аналитика.
and if it's good, you need to bring analysts to it. But while talking to the analyst,
Вот столько времени,
you'll
надо
need
еще столько времени
so
учиться.
much time,
Так,
and you will need to do this and that,
Вот
and
эта
many, many more.
бюрократическая машина крутится,
And as a result, all this bureaucratic machine is
либо ты можешь сделать так, как
operating, and the client is with the bug
риск, конечно,
and all that. Or you can do it as you feel, and you can do it quickly.
То, что нужно.
If it's quickly, then the client will get something that they don't need, and will waste time for the tester to find the bug, to come to the analyst and say, is it feature or the bug? And the analyst need to recall why, because some time passed after they wrote the requirements, so what it was about. So they come to the developer, explain to the developer, wrote it, tested it, so everything was adjusted properly, and finally the client got it.
Но если баг невозможно отличить от
So,
фичи на
but
первый
if the
взгляд,
bug
тоже
can
как бы
be
говорит о
differentiated
качестве
from the
аналитики,
feature, so
разве
it actually tells us about the quality of analysts.
Нет.
No,
С точки зрения того, что, например,
from the point of view that there are certain limitations there, and this behavior is like that because the developer did it as they came up with, and not always the testing can assess it in a proper way. Maybe this way it's better, but
по требованиям и все.
we're not saying it's just follow strictly the requirements and that's it. Okay.
Ну, в принципе, во многом здесь звучит зерно истины. Другое
In
дело,
fact,
что на самом
there
деле
is some
кажется, что мы с вами сейчас приводим разные примеры.
point of truth here. In fact, we're
Но каждая ситуация, она
giving examples from life, but each situation is very
регулируется тем, что я
unique.
художник, я так вижу. И даже аналитики.
And everybody is saying, so I'm an artist, this is how I see it. And even analysts do that.
Хочется сказать, что
Oh,
в целом
boy.
я с многим согласна с тем, что
In
условно...
general, I agree with that. And what the opponents tell us.
Рекомендациям, я думаю,
So we should move to recommendations, and maybe you have some live situations that you'd like to share with us. Why developers didn't read requirements and analysts wrote too much, and how you were dealing with all this.
Смотрите, есть прекрасный пример того, как
There is a great example how analysts wrote requirements.
написали нам.
We did a feature. They wrote us the first variant of requirements. We did it word to word. It's just like it was set up. We gave it to the client, and we get feedback
Клиента, который он хотел, не
that the assignment client gave us is not solved at all. We did it with quality work, everything was done, but not what they expected. And we're sitting here and looking at each other. So analysts, they wrote a lot of letters. Developers did exactly what it was, but so they didn't achieve the result. So what to do in this situation?
Ну, кажется,
To
проблема немного
change,
в другой области. То есть,
I think it's from a different
мы говорим требования, значит,
areas. So
где-то
if
был обман, иначе написано некачественно.
the requirements properly written, so then there was some errors
Да, действительно,
at the beginning when the client brought the assignment. So we have different
и разные...
level of experts and different senior levels.
Но на самом деле таких ситуаций, когда...
But in fact, there are such situations when in this situation I would ask a question, maybe our client changed their mind. That happens too.
Примером относительно недавно.
I have good examples. Recently, they did a feature,
Такой, я знаю, что хочет...
and the product manager said, I know what our client wants. We made a prototype when they wanted. So when they showed it to the client, because that wasn't what they wanted at all. So it was miscommunication between other departments. So that's why don't forget, it's just not only analysts and developers, also designers and product managers and other people, right? So there are many variables here.
По поводу, там, если говорить качество требований и прочее, я в какой-то
Quality of requirements at that point,
вычитывали
I would set the testers that they read it so they could understand how to test it using it.
Третья роль тоже вроде
So we have the third role
устраивать
here as well.
разработчикам и аналитикам.
Maybe we shouldn't have the battle between the developers and analysts. We need to spread it to the team. So we probably get to agile.
Ну что ж, мы поговорили.
So
Большинство угадали.
we spoke about it. So you actually guessed it right. So what happens? We discussed different variants.
Спичи от
And then we'll have short speeches from analyst and developer with recommendations.
что же делать?
What to do?
Разработчик.
First one is developer.
Итак, собственно, как
So,
нам, разработчиков, подружиться на
How we developers should support
одну
analysts.
сторону баррикад.
So we should be on the same side of the barricade.
И действительно,
So we
с малого.
need to start from a small thing.
Свое время. То есть мы берем и
We take it
какой-то кусочек времени, когда мы будем
and we find a time and what we're going to do with this. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do.
вот в рамках ближайшей задачи, ближайшей
So locally, with the sprint and the tasks, what they actually want from me.
главное не увлечься, не попытаться
And the main thing is here is not to invent something for yourself. That's why we'll start
с предметной областью, с терминами. Потому что нам, разработчикам,
with getting to know the terms and the area we're working. And this is the area that we don't quite understand. So if you need to realize something, business task or something like that, so we need from a different area.
как уже упоминала Таня, мы должны создать краткое изложение.
And so what helps us, as Tanya said, we need a brief explanation of how we understood this. And this should be shown to the analyst. If the analyst gets, you have correctly understood what I said, otherwise that would bring us to the unending cycle of rework. And what else we need to learn doing is to ask questions, because without asking questions, we won't be able to build communications. And if we don't understand something, you shouldn't be afraid of that. Just ask a question, and the analyst will answer. You just have to understand that you can impact the analyst. You initiate some discussion. Nobody makes you under the fear of punishment to do it exactly from the beginning and to the letter. Sometimes you can improve, and if you don't understand why you need something, how it is important, what business problem is going to solve, just ask. The analyst should have an answer to this question. And if they don't, they will go to business and ask a question, and maybe that will improve the quality of your own work. You have to start loving visualization. On the whole, we don't like to read. We like to watch, to see pictures. That's why you need to have as many pictures as possible. You have to have the whole map visualized. And everything will be the way that you can cover with one look and understand how it fits the large picture. Because you, as developer, is doing just a part of a huge project. You need to have a plan of action, not the one shown in this picture. You need some specific plan. And in the first place, you need to eat the elephant in pieces. First, to decompose the abstract problems, prioritize the bits and pieces that you got, set deadlines. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to be to spread your capacity. And also, you need these real deadlines and a control, even as part of self-discipline, not just in terms of other people catching up with you and helping you. Somehow we stopped seeing a big screen and we still see the... right, it's back. And after you've done something, You've tried, great job, but you always need feedback. You always need to keep track of someone controlling you. In that case, your controller can be a tester, analyst, a product manager, even yourself. You need to convene some meetings. So if you need them, you want to showcase something, call a meeting. But you have to understand, the more people there are in a meeting, the more there's a chance of turning this useful meeting into just a fun meeting, other than the one aimed at giving you answers to your questions. And you should always, end up with a short memo saying what's been intended, what's done, who did a great job, who didn't. You need to make requirements part of your daily work, because basically both the positive and negative side of good interaction between analysts and developers is that the way the analyst has thought, has conceived it, this is the way that the developer has implemented. So you need to factor in the possible change situation. You need to be able to test what you've implemented, whether all the lists, all the requirements have been implemented. So you should, at least, you should coordinate the important parts of your work with the analysts, so that you shouldn't, get into a situation where create by the ear rather than according to the requirements. And please remember, the analyst is not your enemy. However hard I tried to argue with two great ladies, I understand that the analyst job is very important. And so you need to find a common language with the analysts, and you should listen to what they tell us. Also, we need to have a dialogue with analysts, not only on this stage, but also in life. These are great people, aren't they? And try to use some common quality metrics. How great job the developer has done, how great job the analyst has done, so as not to step on the same rake all the time. And be effective to get in the same pitfall. Be effective, be active, be proactive. Don't keep silent. Offer your ideas. You're not just a machine to rework requirements in the code. You are human in the first place and expert. So if you understand what can be made better, do that. Make a contribution. Thank you, Peter. I subscribe to every word of you. Indeed, if developers start doing that, and I'm sure you'll be able to meet those analysts who will support you. And now, a small talk from an analyst, what she does to improve the processes. So I would like to talk about writing briefly and understandably. Actually, analysts know a million ways how to describe what they want, with diagrams, text, JSON. But the biggest question that analysts are answering is why. That's the most important question for any analyst. Why we're doing that? What for we are implementing a certain feature? This is the question where the work of an analyst should start. And same thing here. Why are we writing the requirements? What kind of problem we want to solve? Why should we be doing it exactly this way? So why do we write requirements? Perhaps we are doing it so that the developers should clearly know what they're doing and how. Maybe we're doing it so that the customer should understand what the end result they're going to get from us. We also want our testers to verify it, to test it. So perhaps it's so. Or maybe we're writing requirements so that the product could be implemented, so that the customer should get something working, something that would really solve their problems. And then we also want this product to be developed further, so that new functionality could be added to it without like unreasonable effort and cost. And also, it needs to be maintained to understand what a bug is and what a feature is. So, do we need to write a lot for that? With maximum details? My answer is no. Does it mean you need to write just a bit, indicating the main idea that it's up to developers to understand it themselves? Again, no, in my opinion. Actually, you have to find the optimum level of detail in the requirements fitting your team, the people that you're working with. Firstly, to start a question of why or what for, and then to start with researching it. When I joined my new team, the first thing I started doing was I started talking with developers, with testers, designers, and I was asking the same question: how they use our current artifacts, how they work with requirements, if they have any questions that concern them most frequently in their work. I was asking them to show examples of that right in the document, how they read them and how they use them. This way, I learned about case diagrams. That's funny pictures with little humans who make them smile and laugh. So we've put together a list of requirements as artifacts. So what to do next? Then you need to fix the requirements. We have to understand that we have different target audiences, different readers, different requirements. For instance, for our product manager, for our customer, it's important to understand what they're going to get as a whole, what kind of capabilities they will have, how their processes will be implemented. And here, you don't need a lot of details of implementation. But our developers need more details. But developers may also be of different categories, front end, back end, and here you also have to factor that in. And then you have to express that in your typical artifact templates. So to understand how these templates should be constructed. This way, we can work out the format of work that will be convenient and that will be a match for our team. What else can come in handy? Of course, it will help if we split our documents into smaller pieces. For me, as head of analysts, the first thing I pay attention to assessing the work of my subordinates is the structure of documents they generate. It's this that shows how well the person has understood the subject. If they've understood what they need to do, the structure of the document, it's the face they are addressing the target audience, the developers. Of course, you need to use schematic diagrams, tables, and different sorts of requirement visualization, because we work with different people. Some people prefer images, other tables. There are other people who just prefer bulleted text. This is also important, therefore. But on the whole, you need to try and use simple and understandable language. I have a book by Lyakov who is teaching how to simplify the language, and I try to implement the recommendations of the author. So we've done everything. We've collected the requirement. We've done our research. We started doing exactly how our developers had asked us. So the time now is to collect feedback. The important thing here is that it shouldn't be a one-off event. You should do it regularly to understand how developers work with your artifacts, what questions they have. You can take a look based on the bugs they are collected during testing to understand which pieces of documentation should be put together with more detail. And after we've collected the feedback, the time is up to use this information in our work in the next generation of the artifacts that we create.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Давай, следующий слайд. Следующий слайд у нас есть.
Next slide. We have one more slide. Thank you. Actually, we've tried to run a brief show for you with pictures so that it could be memorable. But if you count the number of characters that the analysts used, it will be smaller than those used by the developers. Your questions now. We can talk about your real-life cases. We have the time. You can just come up, or you just skip coming up. Thank you.
Да, не забудьте подойти за удочкой.
Please don't forget to come up for the ducks.
Да. Так у нас кто отвечал, знают?
So,
Ребята это тоже знают, и мы их запомнили в лицо.
So we know who was answering and asking questions. In any event, the 5 answerers are getting the ducks. Those of you who gave answers, so a ceremonial handing of the duck, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and we still got one more duck. Okay, and the remaining duck goes to the owner. So all ducks have found their new owners. The developers have found understanding with analysts. And on the whole, I believe that we spent a good time. And this puts us in a position to say goodbye. Thank you.